5 years after the Battle of Broken Stars, the Galactic Council chamber looked different. New seats had been added for species that were previously ignored. Human architectural elements mixed with alien designs creating something unique. The galaxy was changing. Ambassador Taemin sat in the human delegation area, now wearing the robes of his position. He was 39 years old, considered young by most species standards. But he had earned his place through diplomacy backed by demonstrated strength. Near him sat Ambassador Drekthor of the reformed Krell territories. The former War Master had spent 2 years in human captivity, treated well and taught human history. When he was released, he returned home and led a movement to change Krell leadership. Now half the Krell Empire followed the old ways and half followed Drekthor's reforms. It was an uneasy peace, but it was peace. The Council had expanded from 47 species to 73. Humanity had sponsored 26 minor species for membership, giving voice to those who had been dismissed for centuries. The old power structure was breaking apart. Today was a special session. Elder Vorthak had called the Council together for an important announcement. The ancient being stood slowly, his age showing in every movement. His species, the Velkari, were dying out. They reproduced only once every 1,000 years, and their numbers had dwindled until Vorthak was the last of the elders. "I am old," Vorthak said simply. "My time is ending. Before I go, I must name my successor as the Council's historian and conscience. This is the tradition of my people for 80,000 years." The Council waited. Everyone expected him to name another ancient species. The Shalker were old. The Draviks had existed for millennia. Perhaps one of them would be chosen. "I name Ambassador Taemin of Earth as the next elder." Silence fell like a stone. Then the chamber erupted in shock and protest. "He is only 39 years old," Counselor Drixmore assured. "An infant. His species has been in space for barely 60 years. Another added. "How can a human be an elder?" demanded a third. Vorthak waited for the noise to fade. Then he spoke again, his thin voice somehow carrying through the chamber. "I have watched civilizations rise and fall for 80,000 years. I have seen empires that seemed eternal crumble to dust. I have witnessed species achieve greatness and collapse into obscurity. I have recorded it all, and in all that time I have learned something important." He paused, looking around the room. "Being an elder is not about how long you have lived. It is about understanding what matters. And humans, in their brief time among the stars, have taught this galaxy more about what matters than most of you have learned in millennia." "What have they taught us?" someone asked mockingly. "Survival," Vorthak replied. "Adaptation, mercy, determination, hope. You dismissed them as weak. They proved you wrong. You attacked them. They defeated you. You feared they would seek revenge. They offered alliance instead. They have shown you that strength without mercy is just cruelty, and mercy without strength is just surrender. They balance both." Drixmore stood. "They are too young to be trusted with such responsibility." "Are they?" Vorthak asked. "Let me remind you of human achievements. They were rejected by this council. They built their own alliances. They were attacked at New Haven. They fought with cargo ships and made the Krell retreat. They were outnumbered 4-1 at Broken Stars. They won decisively, then showed mercy to their enemies. They went from a species of no importance to a major power in 5 years. 5 years. Some of you have held your positions for 5,000 years and accomplished less." The truth of this hit hard. Many counselors looked uncomfortable. "Taemin is young," Vorthak continued, "but youth brings advantages. He remembers what it is like to be weak and become strong. He remembers being dismissed and earning respect. He understands loss in ways long-lived species have forgotten. Humans cherish every moment because they have so few of them. That urgency, that passion, that desperate need to matter is exactly what this council needs." "I object to this decision," Drixmore said firmly. "Your objection is noted," Vorthak replied, "but the choice is mine alone. This is Velkari tradition. You may vote to confirm or deny my choice, but you cannot change it." The vote was called. It was not unanimous, but Taemin was confirmed as elder by a majority. Many species voted against him, but enough voted in favor. After the vote, a ceremony took place. Captain Sung Ho, the hero of New Haven, presented a memorial to be installed in the council chamber. It was a piece of metal from the Resilience, the cargo ship that started everything. On it were engraved the names of 1,200 people who died at New Haven. plus the 4,000 who died at broken stars. We remember, Sung-ho said quietly. We remember those who gave everything so that we could stand here today. We remember they fought with mining lasers and cargo containers against warships. We remember they showed us what it means to refuse surrender. These names will stay here, in this chamber, so that no one forgets the cost of dismissing the weak. The plaque was mounted on a wall, where every counselor would see it when they entered. Beneath the names was a phrase in every galactic language. We remember. We endure, we forgive. But we never forget. Admiral Bo Young, now retired from active service, had become an instructor at the new Galactic Defense Academy. She taught officers from 40 different species. Her lessons were always the same. Strength alone is not enough. Strategy matters. Adaptability matters. And mercy is not weakness. My people learned to fight on a world that tried to kill us every day, she told her students. We learned that together we are stronger than alone. We learned that hope is the most powerful weapon in the universe. We learned that protecting those who cannot protect themselves is the highest duty of the strong. These lessons cost us blood to learn. I give them to you freely. Do not waste them. Ambassador Jiwoo, the elderly diplomat who first spoke to the council so many years ago, met with young human diplomats preparing for their own assignments. When we first came here, they laughed at us, he said. We had no power, no respect, no voice, but we did not conquer them with weapons. We convinced them with actions. We showed them that worth is not measured in years lived, but in how you live those years. General Hae-jin established the Human Galactic Coalition Defense Force. It was a military organization where humans worked alongside former enemies. Krell officers trained with human strategists. Dravix units learned human improvisation. Even Shalakor, who thought in pure logic, studied human emotion-based tactics. The result was something new. A military force that combined the honor of the Krell, the coordination of the Dravix, the logic of the Shalkor, and the creativity of humans. It was stronger than any of them alone. Elder Taemin's first act was to establish the New Haven Accords. These were rules of warfare that all species would follow. Protect civilians, treat prisoners humanely, use proportional force, seek peace when possible. 70 of 73 species signed immediately. The 3 who did not sign were quietly visited by human diplomatic teams. The message was polite but clear. Humanity is patient. We prefer peace. But we remember those who refuse to protect the innocent. Choose wisely. All 3 signed within a month. 10 years after Taemin became elder, Vorthek died peacefully. He was the last of the Velkari, the end of a species that had watched the galaxy for 80 millennia. Every species in the galaxy attended his funeral. Elder Taemin presided over the ceremony. He read from Vorthak's final archive entry, written just before his death. I have spent my life watching species grow and fall. I thought I had seen everything. Then I met humanity, these short-lived, stubborn, impossible creatures who refused to accept their place in the galaxy's order. They taught me something I had forgotten over 80,000 years. Strength is not about living forever. It is about making your brief time matter. It is about facing impossible odds and choosing to fight anyway. It is about turning weakness into will and disadvantage into victory. The council laughed when I warned them about humanity. They are not laughing now. They are learning. If you are reading this, future historian, remember this lesson. Never underestimate the species that learn to survive on a death world. They will surprise you. They will frustrate you. They will probably save you. And they will absolutely prove you wrong if you think they cannot. I chose Taemin to be elder because he understands this. He knows what it means to be dismissed and prove everyone wrong. He will guide this council well if you let him. This is my final message. Listen to the humans. Not because they are strong, though they are. Not because they are clever, though they are. But because they remember what most of you have forgotten. They remember that life is precious because it is brief. They remember that mercy is strength. They remember that hope matters. Listen to them. Learn from them. And perhaps this galaxy will be better for it. Taemin finished reading and looked at the assembled species. Former enemies now allies. Ancient empires now partners. The strong and weak now equals. Elder Vorthak believed in us when no one else did, Taemin said. He warned the council about humanity and you laughed. Then we proved him right. But we did not seek revenge. We sought something better. We sought a galaxy. 3 years after New Haven, the Krell Empire made its decision. They would destroy humanity completely. No warnings. No negotiations. They would attack Earth itself and end this problem forever. War Master Drekthor commanded the largest Krell fleet assembled in 300 years. 200 warships, each one powerful enough to destroy cities. His orders were clear. Jump to Earth system, demand surrender, and if refused, burn the planet until nothing lived. But first they had to pass through the Broken Star system. It was a region filled with asteroid debris and strange gravity fields. Dangerous, but the fastest route to Earth. Drekthor was not worried. His fleet could handle any danger. He had fought for 80 years and never lost. Humans were children compared to him. They had been in space for barely 60 years. What could they possibly do? Admiral Bo Young waited in the Broken Stars with 45 human ships. She knew the Krell were coming. Human intelligence networks had spotted their fleet gathering weeks ago. She had time to prepare. 45 ships against 200, Fleet Coordinator Sujin said, reviewing the tactical display. These are bad odds, Admiral. Only if you fight fairly, Bo Young replied. Did the Krell fight fairly at New Haven? Did they give our colonists a chance? No, ma'am. Then we will not fight fairly either. We will fight to win. The Krell fleet arrived in the system with confidence. Drekthor looked at his sensors and laughed when he saw only 45 human ships. They plan to stop us with this? Foolish. All ships prepare for standard battle formation. We will crush them quickly. But the humans did not form a battle line. Instead, their ships scattered in every direction like startled fish. They flew into the asteroid field, disappeared behind debris, split up into small groups. What are they doing? Drekthor demanded. This is chaos. There is no discipline. Perhaps they are retreating, his second officer suggested. Then chase them down. All ships pursue and destroy. The Krell fleet entered the asteroid field. That was when the trap began. First came the asteroids themselves. Humans had placed hidden engines on dozens of large rocks. Now those engines fired, sending massive chunks of stone and metal directly into the Krell formation. The Krell ships had to scatter to avoid being crushed. Then came the mines. Captain Junho had spent months planting explosive devices throughout the system, disguised as natural debris. Now they activated. Krell ships exploded without warning. Some destroyed 2 or 3 vessels with a single blast. It is a trap, Drekthor shouted. Reform the fleet. Defensive positions. But the human ships were already attacking. They did not come in organized waves. They attacked from random directions, fired, then disappeared behind asteroids before the Krell could return fire. It was maddening. Then Dr. Minseo's psychological warfare began. Human transmissions flooded all Krell communication channels. They broadcast footage of New Haven, showing Krell ships attacking civilians. Then they showed footage of Krell prisoners of war that humans had captured in previous skirmishes. The prisoners all looked healthy and well treated. They spoke about human mercy and honor. The message was clear. Your leaders attack civilians. Humans fight soldiers. Your leaders are dishonorable. Humans are warriors. This enraged the Krell. Their culture valued honor above all else. To be called dishonorable was the worst insult possible. Many Krell captains stopped following orders and attacked randomly, trying to prove their honor. The fleet's coordination fell apart. Stop listening to their lies, Drekthor commanded. Maintain formation. But it was too late. The Krell fleet was angry now, not disciplined. That was when Fleet Coordinator Sujin executed the next phase. Human ships began kamikaze runs straight at Krell vessels. The Krell braced for impact, diverted resources to shields and point defense. At the last second, the human ships veered away. They were not actually going to crash. They were just making the Krell think they would, except sometimes they did crash. About 1 in 5 human ships actually completed the suicide run, destroying themselves and their target. The Krell could not tell which attacks were real and which were fake. Every attack had to be treated as genuine, which exhausted their defenses. They are insane, a Krell captain screamed. They sacrificed themselves randomly. There is no pattern. That was the point. Humans did not follow patterns. They did not fight logically. They fought with controlled chaos that seemed random, but was actually carefully orchestrated by Sujin. Then came the final trap. All this time, the battle had been slowly pushing the Krell fleet toward a specific area of the system. Now General Heejin, commanding from a hidden station, activated the weapons she had been building for months. Mass drivers. Huge platforms hidden in the asteroids firing solid metal slugs at tremendous speeds. 40 platforms fired simultaneously at the concentrated Krell fleet. The slugs moved too fast to dodge, too solid to destroy. They punched through Krell armor like paper. Krell ships exploded by the dozens. Within 10 minutes, 87 vessels were destroyed or crippled. The rest tried to retreat, but human ships harassed them constantly, preventing them from organizing a proper withdrawal. Drekthor's flagship took multiple hits. Systems failed. He found himself sitting in a damaged bridge watching his fleet die around him. This was impossible. He was War Master of the Krell Empire. He had never lost. How could these humans defeat him? Then Commander Juan and his Special Forces team breached the flagship. They used techniques the Krell had never seen before. They moved through the ship like ghosts, disabling defenders efficiently. Within an hour, they had captured the bridge. Drekthor expected to be killed immediately. Instead, Commander Juan offered him medical treatment. Why? Drekthor asked. We came to destroy your world. We attacked your civilians at New Haven. Why do you show mercy? Because we are not you, Juan replied simply. We remember being helpless. We remember needing mercy, so we give it, even to enemies who would not give it to us. Admiral Bo Young allowed the remaining Krell ships to retreat. She even sent medical supplies with them. Her officers questioned this decision. Ma'am, we could destroy them all. They are broken. Why let them go? Because Taemin is negotiating with moderate Krell leaders right now, Bo Young explained. He is telling them that their current leadership led them to slaughter. He is showing them that we could have killed everyone but chose mercy instead. He is giving them a choice. Continue following leaders who bring them death or make peace with humans who offer life. It was a calculated strategy. The military victory was only part of the plan. The real goal was to change Krell society from within. The Battle of Broken Stars became the most watched event in galactic history. Every species saw the footage. Humans destroying a fleet 4 times their size. Humans treating prisoners with dignity. Humans crying over their own dead but still showing mercy to enemies. The galaxy did not know what to make of it. Humans fought with a viciousness that terrified everyone. Then they showed compassion that confused everyone. They were warriors and healers, destroyers and builders. They could be both at the same time. In his cell, Drekthor sat quietly. He had medical care, food, water, and a comfortable place to sleep. His guards treated him with respect. This was nothing like he expected. Admiral Bo Young visited him personally. You came to destroy Earth. You led 200 ships against my people. I should hate you, but you do not? Drekthor asked. I do not know what I feel. Bo Young admitted. You are my enemy, but you are also someone who was following orders, fighting for your people. I understand that, so I will treat you as a warrior deserves, not as my personal feelings demand. Why? Because that is what separates us from those who attacked New Haven. They chose to kill civilians. We choose to honor warriors. Even enemy warriors, Drekthor thought about this. In Krell culture, honor was everything. Humans had just shown him more honor than his own leaders had. They defeated him in battle, then treated him with respect. His leaders sent him to die. Humans sent him medical supplies. What are you? He asked quietly. Bo Young smiled. We are human. We remember when we were helpless. We remember when we needed mercy. We remember what it feels like to be dismissed and attacked. So we fight when we must. We show mercy when we can, and we never forget either the fighting or the mercy. She left him to think about that. Back on Earth, Hyojin visited the New Haven Memorial. She stood before the wall with 1,200 names carved into it. Taejin's name was there, Gitae's name, so many others. We won, she whispered to them. The Krell fleet is broken. Earth is safe, but it cost us 31 more ships, 4,000 more names to add to the wall. Was it worth it? She knew the answer, yes, because the alternative was surrender, and humans did not surrender. At the Galactic Council, an emergency session convened, not to condemn the humans for winning, not to demand they release prisoners, but to discuss formal recognition of humanity as a major power. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would have a permanent seat on the council. They would have equal voice with species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Taemin attended the ceremony where this was announced. He thought about the first council meeting 3 years ago when they 2 years passed after the battle at New Haven. The galaxy expected humanity to respond with anger, with threats, with demands for justice. Instead, something strange happened. Humanity went quiet, not silent, just quiet, and that made everyone nervous. Human ships appeared throughout the galaxy, but they were not warships. They were trading vessels, exploration craft, and diplomatic shuttles. Humans smiled and spoke politely. They made friends with smaller species that the Council usually ignored. They asked questions, took notes, and never showed anger about New Haven. Taman traveled from system to system with a simple message. We understand what happened. We are not angry. We are just very interested in learning about everyone. This confused the other species. Where was the rage? Where were the threats? Why were humans being so friendly? Ambassador Kyungsu visited the Talvex, a species of traders who loved profit above all else. He offered them a deal, 40% of human trade routes in exchange for a defensive pact. The Talvex calculated the profits and agreed immediately. Other minor species watched this and became interested. The Velsari, who had been ignored by the Council for centuries, received human diplomats with honor. The Kornai, a peaceful species afraid of their aggressive neighbors, asked if humans would protect them. Humans said yes. Slowly, quietly, humanity built a network of alliances, not with the powerful species, with everyone else. Meanwhile, something else was happening. Every human trader was actually gathering information about alien technology, weaknesses, and strategies. Every human scientist was studying the biology of other species. Every human diplomat was mapping out which species could be trusted and which could not. And on Earth, Admiral Bo Young was building a fleet. The ships being constructed did not look like normal warships. They were ugly and asymmetric. Different parts seemed to come from different designs. Some counselors who saw images of these vessels laughed at their appearance. Human ships looked like scrap put together by children, one counselor joked. But Admiral Bo Young did not care about beauty. She cared about function. Every ugly part had a purpose. Every strange design solved a problem. These ships were built on one principle. If it works, use it. If it does not work, throw it away and try something else. Dr. Min Seo worked on something different, understanding the minds of other species. She created detailed profiles of every major power in the galaxy. The Krell valued honor above everything. They followed strict codes of warrior conduct. This made them predictable. The Draviks were a hive mind of billions of individuals acting as one. They were excellent at coordination, but terrible at improvisation. Attack their patterns and they struggled to adapt. The Shalkor were crystalline beings who thought in pure logic. They could not understand biological illogic like humans acting on emotion or intuition. The Talvex only cared about profit. Threaten their money and they would negotiate. Promise them wealth and they would cooperate. Every species had weaknesses. Dr. Minseo found them all. Then Commander Huan began special operations. His teams did not attack anyone. They just demonstrated capabilities. A Krell research station discovered that humans had broken through their security systems, walked around inside, left a note saying we were here, and left without stealing anything. A Dravik supply depot found evidence that humans had infiltrated them by predicting their hive mind patterns days in. Advance's Shalkor archive realized humans had accessed their classified files by using psychological tricks that the logical Shalkor never anticipated. The message was always the same. We can reach you. We can hurt you. We are choosing not to. This created fear more effectively than any threat. What are they planning? Counselor Drixmora demanded at a council meeting. Why are they being so friendly while clearly gathering intelligence? Perhaps they truly want peace, suggested a smaller species representative. No, Elder Vorthak said quietly. They want you to underestimate them again, and it is working. Then something happened that changed everything. A neutral science station far from any military zone sent a distress call. A stellar event, something like a magnetic storm from a dying star, was about to destroy the station. 400 scientists from 15 different species were trapped there. The Galactic Council debated what to do. The rescue would be expensive. The radiation would damage or destroy any ship that got close. Was it worth the cost? They debated for 6 hours while the storm grew closer. Then a single human frigate appeared at the station. Captain Insu commanded a small research vessel that happened to be nearby. He saw the distress call and immediately changed course. "This is the human frigate Morning Light," he broadcast. "We are beginning evacuation." "You cannot," the station commander replied. "The radiation will kill your crew. Your ship will be destroyed." "Probably," Captain Insu agreed. "Start sending people to the airlocks." The human ship moved into the radiation field. Alarm screamed as their hull began to fail. The crew vomited from radiation sickness. Systems shut down one by one, but they kept going. They loaded scientists into every available space. Some were species that had voted against helping humanity at the council. Some were from the Krell Empire. It did not matter. Captain Insu's crew treated all of them equally. When they could not fit more people inside, they had scientists put on emergency suits and tie themselves to the outside of the hull. It was insane. It was dangerous. It worked. The Morning Light limped away from the radiation with all 400 scientists alive. The ship itself was dying, systems failing, hull breaching. But Insu kept it together long enough to reach safe space where other vessels could help. The captain and his crew spent weeks in medical treatment, recovering from radiation exposure. But they lived, and they had saved everyone. The rescued scientists began telling their story. They talked about human crew members who smiled while working through conditions that should have killed them. They described how humans worked for 36 hours straight without complaining. They witnessed humans treating alien life as precious as their own. These stories spread across the galaxy like fire. Humans were no longer just the species that fought with cargo ships. They were the species that flew into certain death to save strangers. They were the species that showed mercy to enemies. They were the species that never gave up. 23 minor species quietly signed defensive pacts with humanity. They did not announce it publicly. They did not want the council to know. But they decided that any species willing to die for strangers was worth allying with. The Galactic Council held another emergency session. This time the topic was containing human expansion. They passed a resolution limiting where humans could explore and trade. Taman attended the session. He listened to the resolution without expression. Then he spoke. "You limit our exploration. You limit our trade. You deny us military alliances. You attack our colonies. Yet you expect us to follow your rules and respect your authority." He paused. "Why should we?" The room went silent. "Because we are the council," Drixmora said. "We maintain order in the galaxy." "You maintain your own power," Taman replied calmly. "You did not rescue those scientists because it was expensive. We rescued them because it was right. You laugh at us for being weak. We show mercy because we are strong enough to choose it. You fear us because we do not follow your rules. But your rules only serve you. You dare speak to us this way?" another counselor demanded. "Yes," Taman said, "because you cannot stop me. You can pass resolutions. You can make rules. But 23 species have allied with us in secret because they trust us more than they trust you. You have power. We have respect. Which do you think matters more in the long term?" He left the chamber. Behind him, counselors looked at each other nervously. When had humans become so confident? When had they stopped being afraid? Elder Vorthak watched Taman go and allowed himself a small smile. The young diplomat had learned quickly. He no longer trembled before the council. He spoke to them as equals because he knew humanity's true strength now. Back on Earth, Admiral Bo Young christened the first real human warship. It was massive and ugly and powerful. She named it Da Yun's Vengeance, after the engineer who gave her life at New Haven. The ship did not look impressive to council observers. It looked crude and unrefined. But Bo Young knew something they did not. This ship was designed to fight in ways they would never expect. It was built by a species that learned warfare on a death world. It contained weapons they could not predict because humans thought differently than everyone else. More ships followed. The fleet grew, not slowly but carefully. Each vessel was tested and improved. Each crew was trained to human standards, which meant they were trained to never give up. In the Krell Empire, Counselor Drixmora met with his military leaders. "The humans are building a fleet. They are making alliances. They are becoming a threat. Should we attack them again?" a general asked. "No." Drixmora shook his head. "Not yet. They are waiting for us to attack. They want us to. They will use it as justification to show their full strength. We will not give them that satisfaction." But privately, Drixmora was afraid. He watched footage of the New Haven battle regularly. He saw cargo ships crewed by civilians fight his elite warriors to a standstill. 6 months passed since the council meeting. Captain Sung-ho sat in his cargo ship, the Resilience, checking his navigation systems. He was a simple merchant captain, hauling supplies between Earth and its few colonies. His military training was years old, rusty, and mostly forgotten. He never expected to use it again. Today he was bringing supplies to New Haven, a small colony on the edge of human space. 8,000 people lived there, mostly families and scientists. It was a peaceful place, far from trouble. Then his communications officer spoke. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission. Multiple ships approaching New Haven." Sung-ho frowned. "Ours? No, sir. They are Krell." Sung-ho's blood went cold. He pulled up the sensor readings. 30 Krell warships surrounded the colony. 30. Against a colony with no weapons, no military, no defenses. A message came through. It was Commander Thexkel of the Krell Empire. His face filled the screen, all scales and cold eyes. "Human colony of New Haven, you are in disputed territory. The Krell Empire claims this system. You have 24 hours to surrender and evacuate. If you refuse, we will destroy everything. This message is being broadcast across all frequencies. Let the galaxy see what happens to those who forget their place." The message ended. Sung-ho stood frozen for a moment. Then he opened communications with New Haven. Jae-hoon, the colony administrator, appeared on screen. He looked terrified. "Captain Sung-ho, did you receive that transmission?" "I did. How many ships do we have there?" 15 cargo vessels, including yours. No warships. No weapons. Nothing that can fight a Krell fleet." "Then we evacuate," Sung-ho said, though his heart sank. "There is not enough time," Jae-hoon said quietly. 8,000 people. 15 cargo ships. We can fit maybe 3,000 if we pack them in dangerously. The rest, he did not finish. Sung-ho closed his eyes. This was the Krell's message to humanity. Obey or die, and the galaxy would watch and learn to fear the Krell Empire. "I will not leave 5,000 people to die," Sung-ho said. "What choice do we have? I need to think." "Give me 1 hour," Sung-ho closed the channel. He sat alone in his cabin, thinking about the impossible situation. Then his engineer Dayun knocked on his door. "Captain, I have an idea. You will think it is crazy." "Tell me." Dayun explained her plan. She was right. It was crazy. They were cargo ships, not warships. They carried mining equipment, not weapons. But mining lasers could cut through asteroids. Cargo containers could be filled with fuel and turned into missiles. Ships could ram enemy vessels if necessary. "We have no chance of winning," Sung-ho said. "No," Dayun agreed, "but we have a chance of making them pay. We have a chance of showing them that humans do not surrender. Is that not worth something?" Sung-ho thought about it. He thought about his wife back on Earth, his daughter who was starting university. He wanted to see them again, but he also thought about 5,000 people who would die if he ran away. He made his decision. "Contact all cargo ship captains. Tell them the plan. Make it clear this is voluntary. Anyone who wants to evacuate civilians can do so. No judgment, but I am staying to fight." The message went out. Sung-ho waited for responses. He expected maybe 3 or 4 ships to stay. All 15 captains volunteered to stay. For the next 24 hours, the colony worked without stopping. Dr. Young-mi organized everyone, even children, to help. They took apart mining equipment and mounted it on ships. They filled cargo containers with fuel and set them on timed detonators. They overloaded reactor cores so they could explode on command. They worked with desperate speed and determination. The colonists who could not fit on the evacuation shuttles did not cry or complain. Instead, they helped prepare the ships. They brought food and water for the crews. They said goodbye to loved ones with dry eyes and brave faces. One woman handed Sung-ho a small data chip. "My daughter is on one of the evacuation shuttles. If I do not survive, please give her this. Tell her I was not afraid." Sung-ho took the chip with shaking hands. When the deadline arrived, the Krell fleet moved forward. Commander Thexkel sent another message. "Have you chosen to surrender?" Sung-ho broadcast his response on all frequencies, just as the Krell had done. "Let the galaxy hear this too. We are human. We do not surrender. Come and try to take our home." For a moment there was silence. Then Thexkel laughed. "You will die for nothing. Your courage is pointless." "Maybe," Sung-ho said. "But you will remember us." The Krell fleet attacked. They came in formation, organized and professional. The human cargo ships scattered in every direction, chaotic and wild. They had no military training, no standard tactics. They simply attacked with everything they had. Dawen piloted her ship directly at a Krell destroyer. She fired mining lasers that carved through its armor. Then she rammed it at full speed, her reactor set to overload. The explosion took out 2 more Krell ships that were too close. Sung-Ho watched her ship explode on his sensors. He whispered a prayer for her, then focused on his own attack. He released cargo containers filled with fuel into the path of enemy ships. When they exploded, they created fields of fire that forced the Krell to scatter. Another cargo captain, a man named Gitai, used his ice hauler to spray supercooled water at Krell ships. Their systems froze and failed. Then he crashed his ship into them, breaking apart on impact but taking the enemy with him. One by one, the human ships died. But they made the Krell pay for every kill. The Krell expected quick victory. Instead, they got 16 hours of desperate fighting. On the colony surface, Jae-hoon and Dr. Young-mi watched the battle above them. Every time a human ship exploded, they marked the name of the crew. They would remember. They would tell Earth what these people did. Finally, only 3 human ships remained. Sung-Ho's resilience was one of them. Damaged and barely functioning, they had destroyed 9 Krell ships. The enemy fleet was pulling back, regrouping. Dexcal opened communications again. This time he did not look amused. "You have fought well for primitives, but you have lost. Surrender now and I will let the colony live." Sung-Ho looked at his remaining crew. They were wounded and exhausted. His ship was falling apart, but he saw no surrender in their eyes. "We have one more attack in us," Sung-Ho said to Thexcal. "We can die quickly or make you work for it. Your choice." There was a long pause. Then Thexcal's fleet began to withdraw. "This is not worth the cost," the Krell commander said. "You have proven your point. We will leave." "What?" Sung-Ho could not believe it. "You are retreating?" "Do not mistake this for defeat," Thexcal said. "But you are too expensive to kill. Remember this day, human. You survived because we chose mercy." The Krell fleet jumped to hyperspace and vanished. On New Haven, silence fell. They had survived. 5,000 people were still alive, but 12 cargo ships were destroyed. Over 1,000 people were dead. The colony was damaged and burning. Jae-hoon stood in the ruins of the spaceport. Around him, families mourned their dead. Victory felt like defeat. Sung-Ho landed his damaged ship and stepped onto the surface. People gathered around him. Someone called him a hero. He shook his head. "We are not heroes. Heroes win. We just refuse to lose quietly." But across the galaxy, something else was happening. The battle had been broadcast on open frequencies. Other species had watched the footage. They saw cargo ships fight warships. They saw humans choose death over surrender. They saw the mighty Krell Empire retreat from 15 modified cargo vessels. The whispers began. "Did you see? The humans fought with mining equipment. Imagine what they could do with actual weapons." The Krell retreated. The Krell never retreat. On Earth, emergency meetings began. The government started building warships. Real warships. Humanity had been dismissed by the Council. Now they had been attacked by the Krell. They would not make the mistake of being weak again. In the Grand Assembly Hall, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. But they were not discussing the Krell attack. They were discussing human instability and dangerous behavior. "They fought with cargo ships," one counselor said nervously. "What will they do with military vessels?" "They refuse to surrender even when facing certain death," another added. "That is not rational." "That is not safe," a third concluded. Only Elder Vorthak sat silently reviewing the battle footage. Finally he spoke. "I warned you." "Did I not warn you?" No one answered. Vorthak made another private recording. "They fought with cargo ships and made the Krell retreat. The galaxy is starting to understand. Humanity is not strong because they have good weapons. They are strong because they refuse to accept defeat. Every species that dismissed them is now watching nervously. Good. Perhaps now they will listen." In his private chambers, Counselor Drixmora watched the footage again and again. The sight of Krell ships retreating haunted him. He had ordered this attack to teach humans their place. Instead, he had taught the galaxy to respect them. "This is not over," he muttered. "This is only beginning." He was right, though not in the way he expected. Far away on Earth, a young woman named Bo Young received a promotion to Admiral. Her orders were simple. Build a fleet that would make sure New Haven never happened again.
Build ships that could protect humanity.
Build an answer to the galaxy's contempt. She accepted the orders with a salute. Then she visited the memorial wall where names. The Grand Assembly Hall floated in the darkness of space like a giant crystal. Inside, representatives from 47 alien species sat in their designated areas. Some had scales, others had multiple eyes, and a few glowed with their own light. They were the most powerful beings in the galaxy, and they knew it. Ambassador Jiwoo stood at the center of the hall. His hands trembled slightly, though he tried to hide it. Behind him stood Taiman, a young diplomat barely 30 years old, and Hyejin, a military strategist with sharp eyes that missed nothing. They were the first humans to speak before the Galactic Council. Jiwoo cleared his throat. Honored Council, humanity thanks you for this opportunity. We have traveled far to— Yes. Councilor Drixmora interrupted. The massive reptilian creature leaned forward on his throne. We know why you are here. You want a military alliance. You want protection. You want to matter. He paused. The answer is no. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Some species clicked in agreement. Others flashed colors that meant approval. We only ask for fair consideration, Jiwoo said quietly. Earth may be young in galactic terms, but we have much to offer. Drixmora laughed. It was a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the hall. What can you offer? Your planet has been in space for 50 years. 50? My people have traveled the stars for 20,000 years. The Krell Empire controls 400 star systems. The Draviks coordinate billions of minds as one. And you have one small world and 12 billion individuals who cannot even agree with each other. More laughter filled the hall. Taemin felt his face grow hot with anger, but he remained still. Hyejin's expression never changed. Then a voice spoke that silenced everyone. Perhaps you should listen to what I have learned. All eyes turned to Elder Vorthak. The ancient being rose slowly from his seat. His species, the Velkari, were the oldest in the known galaxy. They kept records of civilizations that had turned to dust millions of years ago. When a Velkari spoke, people listened. I have spent 50 years observing Earth and its people, Vorthak said. His voice was thin but clear. I have studied their history, their biology, their culture, and I must tell you something important. He paused, looking around the hall. These humans are dangerous. Now there was interest. Drixmora leaned back. Dangerous, them? They have no natural armor, no telepathy, no extended lifespan. Their bodies are weak compared to most of us here. Their technology is primitive. Their warships are slow and small. What makes them dangerous? Vorthak moved to the center of the hall. Images appeared in the air around him, pulled from his records. Let me show you their world, Earth. The images showed a blue and green planet. It looked beautiful and peaceful. Looks harmless, someone muttered. Watch, Vorthak said. The images changed. Now they showed massive storms that could destroy entire cities. Earthquakes that split the ground open. Volcanoes that buried everything in fire and ash. Winters so cold that exposed skin froze in minutes. Summers so hot that nothing could survive in the open. Diseases that killed millions. Predators with teeth and claws designed for killing. This is their homeworld, Vorthak said. Most of our species evolved on stable, peaceful planets. The Krell homeworld has mild weather and few predators. The Draviks evolved in calm oceans. The Shalkor grew in gentle caves. But Earth? Earth tried to kill humans every single day. So they are survivors, Drixmora said with a shrug. That does not make them powerful. You missed the point, Vorthak replied. They are not just survivors. They are adapters. Watch this, new images appeared. Humans living in frozen wastelands. Humans thriving in burning deserts. Humans building cities on islands surrounded by violent seas. Humans climbing mountains that reached into the clouds. Humans diving into the deepest oceans. They can live almost anywhere, Vorthak continued. They have no natural environment. Every environment is unnatural to them, so they adapt to all of them. They invented tools, clothing, shelter, and medicine not because they were clever, but because they had to or they would die. Still not impressed, another counselor said. Vorthak's eyes seemed to glow. Then let me tell you about their wars. The images now showed human history. Battles fought with primitive weapons. Wars that killed millions. Cities burned to the ground. Yet humans kept fighting, kept surviving, kept rebuilding. They have been at war with themselves for their entire history. Vorthak said. They have created weapons to kill each other in every way imaginable. Fire, poison, disease, explosives, radiation. They have fought in every climate, every terrain, every condition. They have learned to fight when hungry, when wounded, when hopeless. And here is what concerns me most. They never ever give up. Jiwoo stood quietly, unsure if this was helping or hurting their case. Humans have a concept called spite, Vorthak continued. It means doing something difficult or painful just to prove others wrong. It means refusing to quit even when quitting makes sense. They will endure suffering just to see their enemy suffer more. They will sacrifice themselves just to wound their opponent. This is not logical. This is not reasonable. This is terrifying. You ask us to fear creatures who die in 100 years? Drixmora said. Creatures with no claws, no armor, no telepathy? Yes, Vorthak said simply. Because they do not need long lives when they make every moment count. They do not need claws when they invent better weapons. They do not need telepathy when they communicate through pure determination. I have watched them, Counselor. I have seen what they do when threatened. They do not retreat. They do not negotiate. They attack, and they keep attacking until either they win or they are all dead. The hall was silent now. Some counselors looked uncomfortable. There is more, Vorthak said. They form bonds with other species. Not for food, not for work, for companionship. They took wolves, deadly predators, and turned them into pets. They live with creatures that could kill them because they want friends. This ability to bond across species lines is unique, dangerous, useful. He turned to face Drixmora directly. They also have something else, empathy. They will risk their own lives to save strangers. They will help those weaker than themselves even when there is no benefit. They cry over the deaths of others. This makes them unpredictable. You cannot understand an enemy who might kill you or might save you, depending on rules you do not understand. Drixmora waved a clawed hand dismissively. You speak of potential threats. I see only a weak species asking for help. The Krell Empire has no reason to ally with them. Nor does anyone else, another counselor agreed. Vorthak looked sad. Then I have failed to make you understand. Very well, but let me say this. I have watched civilizations rise and fall for 80,000 years. I know the signs of a species that will reshape the galaxy. And humans have all those signs. You can choose to make them your allies now, or you will face them as enemies later. That is my warning. He returned to his seat slowly. Jiwoo stepped forward one more time. We came here in peace. We came seeking friendship and cooperation. If you choose to reject us, we will remember this day, but we will not let it stop us. Humanity will find its place in the galaxy, with or without this council's approval. How touching, Drixmora said mockingly. You are dismissed. We grant you minimal trading rights. Nothing more. You may leave. The three humans bowed formally and turned to go. As they walked toward the exit, Taemin heard more laughter behind them. He memorized every sound, every species that mocked them. Heejin leaned close to him and whispered, "Let them laugh now." Why? Taemin asked quietly. Because soon they will learn what the elder tried to tell them. Humans do not forget, and humans do not forgive easily. They left the Grand Assembly Hall and returned to their small ship. Jiwoo sat down heavily, looking defeated. Taemin felt angry, but Heejin smiled slightly as she looked at her datapad. What are you smiling about? Jiwoo asked. I am making a list, Heejin said. Every species that laughed at us today. Every counselor who dismissed us. Every voice that mocked humanity. Why? Because one day we will remind them of this moment, and we will ask them if they still think we are weak. On Earth, news of the rejection spread quickly. Some people were angry. Some were sad, but most were determined. Humanity had faced worse than rejection. They had faced extinction multiple times and survived. This was just another challenge. In the darkness of his quarters, Elder Vorthak made a private recording. They laughed. Just as I knew they would. Powerful beings always laugh at those they see as weak. They never learn until it is too late. I have done what I could to warn them. Now I will watch what happens next. I suspect it will be remarkable. Humans always are. Far away in the heart of the Krell Empire, Counselor Drixmora met with his military leaders. These humans irritate me, he said. They are too proud for such a weak species. I think we should teach them their place. Find one of their colonies, a small one. Show them what happens when you displease the Krell Empire. The military leaders bowed and left to make plans, and in the space between stars, The first moves of a great game had been made. The powerful had dismissed the weak. The weak had been humiliated. Now everyone would learn what happened next. History would